Hi everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and I want to thank you again for joining me and taking part in my June Club Kit to Go. So this card looks way complicated, doesn't it? But I promise you it is super easy. The hardest part is probably just deciding where you would like to lay out some of your stars. I mean, really, that's the most difficult part of it. It is a little bit of work with layout, but otherwise it is really simple, I promise you. Now, I do have a confession. For this one, I did not use the Peaceful Moments stamp set because it didn't have anything Christmas related. If you wanted to, you could certainly make this Always Remember and send this to someone at Christmas time to remind them of someone that maybe they've lost and they're thinking of. And you could totally change the colors of this and make it more of a military remembrance card, or maybe someone who has lost someone recently, you could send them this card. It would be absolutely beautiful. And you can certainly substitute any other Christmas greeting. I really like this one. This is from the Most Wonderful Time product medley, which is going to be back again in the holiday catalog this year. So I'm really excited about that. This is a medley that comes with dies, so you can actually see them in here. You get the stamp set. You get dies, so you can see the dies that go along with it. You get DSP, you get embellishments, you get ribbon. It is so much stuff. It's got lots and lots of stuff. It's a huge value, and they actually are also going to be selling a refill for it, which is super as well. So check that out. That's in the upcoming holiday catalog, which will be coming out very soon. So if you're a customer of mine, you will be getting one of those. My local customers, I will drop them off to. Everyone else will get one mailed to them. If you are a demonstrator and you happen to be participating in my stamp club, you will be getting one mailed, I believe, in mid-July or so. So I did use another really pretty ribbon. This, and I cannot think of the combo pack of this one right now, but it is a beautiful combo pack. So I used the ribbon. This is a gold thread, and this is kind of very gauzy ribbon, so I just used a little piece of both of those for that. It was really nice. Now, this color on this paper here that I'm using, this is another favorite that's going to be coming back, so I decided to use this. I'm going to demonstrate on a different piece because I want to make sure I have enough for my kits, but this is the Brightly Gleaming DSP. This actually is a copper foil paper, but it kind of goes so well that it could go gold on some of these. It's really very versatile, so I love this. And pairing it with the gold, it looks really pretty. I also added in, and I will give you guys a little piece of, oh my goodness, I believe it's called Sparkle Glimmer paper, which we no longer carry, but I'll give you guys some because I thought it really kind of made it look a little bit more fun. So here is how we're going to do this today. I did do a lot of pre-cutting because what I did on this card, you can see there's cherry cobbler layovers over top of gold. There's gold. There's some old olive. There's a white star in the background. I kind of just added a whole bunch of different stuff. I want to show you just in case you missed it. These little pieces here are actually these little doodads. So these will form kind of the flare part of a star. So I just kind of threw a couple of them in there. You can see the detailed stars. That is this one here. So there's lots of those. You can lay them on top of something. You can put them by themselves. I also did do a gold foil in the background. I'm going to show you how to do that one. And if you've watched more than one video, you will know it's really simple to do if you put an adhesive backing onto the card first. So to get started, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little bit of the prepping, and then we'll go back and make this 3D star. If you can see it, it looks like the kind of stars that people, those farmhouse stars, they hang on their house, which are really cool. This is super simple to make, and once you see it, you'll probably be making a ton of them, kind of how I feel. We're only using one ink, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that now so it has time to dry. I have cherry cobbler ink with my Oh Christmas Tree stamp, and that is in the Most Wonderful Time medley. So I'm going to kind of stamp this towards the end. This is just a scrap. Let's see if I can get it a little bit better centered. A scrap from trimming cardstock down. So this is just a little leftover piece of crumb cake. That looks better. So I'm going to just snip this and set this on the side to dry. Close this up so we don't have any catastrophes. We will need, now it kind of depends on how dark you want. You can either use soft suede or crumb cake, so that's kind of up to you. I think I might have listed crumb cake in the instructions, but you could use either one. This embossing folder, I cannot ever seem to remember. I believe it is Tasteful Textile. I, for some reason, can't ever remember the name of it, but that is what we're going to emboss with. It is listed correctly. I will tell you in the instructions. So for this, we're using crumb cake, 4 1/4 by 11, score at 5 1/2. Then I have a piece of cherry cobbler, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and then we have another piece of crumb cake that is 3 3/4 by 5. So they're going to layer together. So we're going to go ahead and emboss this first. So I kind of find it directionally, the way I do is I usually line the bottom of my paper up with that line, so I know that everything is nice and even. So that makes me happy that I know it's centered well. If you are still using a Big Shot, you want to use your regular platform. You're going to just use this and the blue plate to run it on top. When the new die cutting machine comes out, we shouldn't have to worry about adding extra papers or shims. But until then, if you have the blue plate, use it. If not, you might have to use your regular plates and then add in a piece of paper or something. So I'm going to do my best to use what I have because I don't want you to have to painfully watch me die cutting, but I am going to die cut one other thing. So you can see that gives a really cool texture, and you can use either side. That side's embossed, or this side's debossed, this side's embossed. So you can kind of use whatever side you want to use. One other thing I did ahead of time is, once again, I put some adhesive sheet, which I'm so glad this stuff is back, on the back of a gold foil panel. And I'm actually going to cut this out for the stars. So you can see we did the stars back here, and then we'll layer a couple of them on. So I'm going to do my best to use what I have because I really don't want to torture you guys with having to watch me die cut all these stars out. So I did do a little bit of pre-die cutting. So I'm just going to run the gold foil through the embossing machine. And when I do that, even with the adhesive sheet, I usually run it back and forth because that way it'll kind of tend to just fall out. But you can see, it just pops almost. Only thing ever sticks in is usually this little piece. It pops almost all the way out. So we'll set that on the side. Let me move all of these over. And hopefully the rest of this will go rather smoothly. So I'm going to just put my base together. So I have my cherry cobbler piece. Just going to add that onto my base panel, or my base card, I should say. There we go. That's pretty even. Now I have a Stampin' Sponge, which is probably has some other color on it. You guys know how I go. And then I'm going to take my sponge and my soft suede and just kind of ink the sides a little bit. I kind of left the center a little bit lighter. I think I probably did use crumb cake the first time because the other one looks a little bit lighter. That's good. So that's about it. That's all the inking we're doing. And then this one I'm going to take and glue onto my other panel. Let me just put this on. I'm actually going to wipe this off. There we go. And make sure this is centered for the most part. It's a little smudge, but it's okay. I'll make sure I have this open correctly. Okay, so the other thing I did for this one is, and you can go ahead and do this or omit, it's up to you either way, is I stamped, and I kind of stuck with the same color scheme. I stamped this tree, which is very, very photorealistic, and then I just added little stars. So I did that in soft suede. You can see first, second, and third generation inking, and then I just added the stars. I just thought it was kind of a cute touch to the inside, but if you want to change it or use a different stamp set, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so now, and I'm not really saying that I'm saving the hardest part for last, but it's kind of, the hardest is honestly deciding where you want to put your pieces, really. So there's just a little piece of that. And the other thing I did was I took the thread and I wound it 3 times, and I'm going to cut this off. And then what I did was I just kind of, whoopsie, I just kind of tied this through in, oops, you know what, I did it double, never mind. I tied this through. So let me show you a really quick tip, because I'm remembering, because sadly, if you've listened to this at all, you remember in the beginning I have had some major issues with filming this. So I have had to film these over and over again. This is my second time filming this one. Some of the other ones were even longer, but I'm going to take my my reverse tweezers and I'm just grabbing the center there, and then I'm going to take the two ends as best I can. Hold on, because this worked super well when I did it the first time. Okay, let me see. I'm going to take this and wrap it around. Do the opposite for this one. Now maybe if I grab this it will work. Yeah, I'm going to pinch these. This ribbon, I will say, this this thread, I don't even know what you want to call it. It is a little bit slipperier than probably any other thread I've used, but it's so pretty. Okay, so let me tie this, pull it through. Oops, that didn't turn out. I don't think all my pieces came through, but looks pretty good considering. And I'm going to really pull. Who knew this would be the hardest part, guys? This is, I will tell you, tying a bow on camera is probably one of the most difficult things I have ever done, that's for sure. Let's see if I can pull that through there. Okay, now, so that's fairly good. I won't say that that is the best, yeah, because this looks a little junked up over here. See, it's kind of really like you guys are in class. This is exactly what happens. I think I'm going to recreate something and it turns into not really a nightmare, but kind of a cluster, if we're all being honest. Speaking of, I do say, I think I said this last time, I really do. All right, so I'm going to do it this way. But that kind of defeats the purpose of the way I had it tied the first way. Drat. I miss you guys. I really miss stamping with you all. This, as I'm sure it is for you, is just absolutely not the same for me as stamping together as a group. I really, really miss you guys. All right, so we're going to make this work, even if I have to do it again. I'm sure some of you right now are thinking, all right, yeah, I'm not doing that bow for this. There we go. Finally got it. I will say, I don't blame you. All right, I am going to trim these just a little bit to kind of neaten them. So, still got a little bit of frazzliness, but that was the worst part of this card. Trust me, that is the absolute hardest part that you will do for it. So, I'm going to put a little teeny bit of fast fuse down. You could use liquid glue if you wanted to, but I just happen to have this handy. So I'm going to put a little bit of fast fuse. And I'm going to lay this kind of on top. Just kind of, don't want it super tight that it's really pulled, but just kind of holds its place. Kind of gives it that like nice little country feel. You can pull these little extra doodads off if you want. I'll make sure that you have enough that if you want to pull it apart you can, but there is that. Okay, promise, hardest part. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop these stars out. Now I'm going to keep these because we can use these to add in various places, layered on top of our other cards. And kind of the same thing we did before. We're just going to pull this out. These are really, really easy to remove if you have the adhesive on the back of them. It makes it so much easier to kind of pull them apart and stick down. All right, so I'm going to pull right here. You can see that takes everything off. You might end up with like a tiny, there's one usually that sticks, yeah, right here, but otherwise not bad at all. So I'm going to stick this kind of coming up through the back. You can kind of make it however you want. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but having that adhesive, oh my gosh, it saves so much time with not having to glue these little things individually, because that is a pain in the butt, I will tell you. Okay, so one thing I did ahead of time, and where did I put it so I can show you? Here it is. All right, so I did mine on plaid foil paper. So this is from last year as well, in case you might happen to have it and want to make extra. This is the wrapped in plaid paper, and it does have some gold foiling through it. So you could use this if you wanted to make more cards, but I'm going to show you how to make that 3D star. So you are going to need some sort of a scoring device. Okay, I have had the Simply Scored forever and ever, and I love it. It's super easy to use, but if you don't have it, just use a scoreboard, any type that you might have. And if you don't have that, you can always use a foam mat, and I would suggest using a clear ruler because you'll be able to see better. What I would do is put a piece of white paper just so you can see the difference, but I'm going to show you how to do it on this. Hopefully you have something like it. If not, you could probably pick it up next time. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the point of your star. I have made a black Sharpie line down my 6-inch mark because it helps with a lot of different projects lining it up. So I'm going to put the point of my star at the 6-inch mark, and then I'm kind of just eyeballing where I think the center of my card is, or my center of my star is. It doesn't have to be specific, and you're just drawing a line up. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is keep it here, rotate my star, do it again. And I'm going to do that for all 5. The first time I did this, I actually went all the way down. I goofed it up, but it still turned out well because that's the one that's on the card. So then you're going to flip the card over and you're going to do the same thing. So kind of find your center, and now you're going to just make a valley in between. So you're just going in between the points. So you're making from the center to the in-between part on all 5. Okay, that is it. It's just that simple. Promise you. Wasn't that ribbon way harder? Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to pinch your points, and you kind of want to make them so you're making the mountains. So you're pinching those. Doesn't have to be exact either. And then you're going to squeeze in to make your valleys. And some of you might have done this before if you make those decorative 3D stars, but so you kind of just, you don't want to press too hard because you don't want your paper to rip, but you're kind of pressing to the middle. And then there you go. It's just that easy. So the only thing I did, and I'm going to show you this because it was way simpler than the original way I tried to put these down, is I'm going to take, and I'm going to take a couple of these off if I can, just ahead of time. I think I'm going to go with 4. So I'm going to take 3 dimensionals, and I'm just stacking them for the most part on top of each other. And then I'm going to take another one that actually has the backing, and I'm just going to press them in the center. That way when you adhere it to your card, it's got enough loft that it's not going to smush the height of your card. Okay, now this will be a card that you probably should either hand to somebody in person, or it might take you a little bit extra postage just because it does stick off a little bit, but it still, I think, is a really, really pretty card. Okay, so I have a lot of stars that I already cut out to hopefully save you some of the trouble. So I cut out these little guys, and if you don't know, they kind of also look like kites to me, but they do make a star if you put them together. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's another one here. But you can kind of just use them individually. I cut out some of the other little very intricate stars. There's lots of great things that you can do with these star dies, which is why I really, really love them. Have a couple little pieces in blue. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have some white, and I might have to cut just a couple of green. That's probably the only thing. There's that. There's those. No, maybe I think I cut enough. I have some glimmer stars. So this one's going to look different than the first one. I actually even put this one together already because this little piece of glimmer paper I cut and it was falling apart. So I laid it on top of an old olive piece to save it. I have some of these little spriggly doos here. And I'm sure you guys all love these names I've come up with. There's some more red ones. I might have to cut just a couple. I'm going to cut a couple of the old olive, only because I want to add just a little bit of something else to it. So I'm going to use this, is a smaller star, and we use this one here. So I'm just going to cut these two really quickly. Even if they don't end up staying all the way in, I'm going to use them anyway just because they'll be in there enough that I'll be able to cover them up if I goof them. So here is that one and this one. Okay. So hopefully I don't make that too long. All right, so all we're going to do is kind of take our card, and we can look at this for an example. I am going to mini glue dot this little guy onto the star. So I just have a mini glue dot on the back here. We'll pop that on there. That's going to kind of be our main part of the star. Now, some of these have adhesive and some of them don't, so I will have to add adhesive to a few of them, but I still think there'll be enough of them that I'll make this hopefully not too painful to watch. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my silicone mat. That way I can put some glue on these things without hopefully messing them up too much. I'm not going to excessively glue anything. So we'll kind of just put some of these in different spots. This one, let's see. So if we have this here, I put this one over here. So I'm going to actually add a little bit of glue. So you don't want to be too skimpy with your glue because you have a lot of embossing that you want this to stick to, but you just don't want it kind of gooping everywhere. So just hold that down for a second. We could even put this one. This one would be really cute. We'll put this cherry cobbler onto this glimmer star. Now I will tell you one thing with this, with the glimmer paper, if you're going to add it, it definitely needs some glue on here because glimmer paper can sometimes be a little bit difficult to get things to stick to. If you've ever used it, you know that. And I'm going to put a dot in the center, that way once we put it down. So I'm going to kind of center this just like that. And then I'm going to put this over here and just press. I'm kind of hoping, and I probably should have put some glue. Would have been smart to put some glue on the back of this. But we'll see if this is going to hold it down. If not, I might have to go back and do a little surgery after the fact to get it to stick on there. So there's that. And we have our solid olive over here. Put him there. Same thing when you're sticking something onto a ribbon. Sometimes it takes just a little bit extra to get it stuck. Go ahead and peel the backing. This is just a gold star. Pop him over here. You can even add in like a little bit of color that maybe you didn't really necessarily think would go. Just add in something different. I'll put a little bit of blue. Put a little bit of glue onto those little, keep calling them kite outlines, but that's kind of what they look like to me. I'm just making sure that none of this hangs off of the front of the card. That's about all I'm doing. That's only the one main thing. Glue up here. You could even add some white stars in the background if you wanted to. Just gonna hold this down for a sec so my finger doesn't pull it up. Okay, a little bit of cherry cobbler. Put him over here. Put, I think some of these definitely have, yeah, adhesive on the back. So I'll kind of change the direction of that. That way it's got layers to it. Same with this one. Oops. The one thing you want to try not to do, if you can help it, and I should have mentioned this ahead of time, but just thinking is, if you have sticky fingers, do your very best to try not to touch the front of your foil cards or your foil paper, because it can make it kind of like it tends to stick with the dirtiness of it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that even does, but it'll pick up a smudge and it's really, really hard to get rid of. So Just kind of keep that in mind. If you have dirty fingers after adhering this, maybe before you put your foil pieces on, go in and wipe your hands off before you move on. This one doesn't want to come off. Oh, that's nice. It was split on there for me. There we go. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and take this backing off. I'm going to pop this here in the center. So I don't want to push too hard. I'm just pushing that the glue dot or the dimensional is going to stay, but then it's going to pick its height back up again. And the only other thing we have to do is take our sentiment. I'm going to just flag the end. And I'm going to cut this off right here at the edge. So it's just a teeny bit, and we're going to pop that in just like that. I'm going to put some liquid glue. You could add this one with dimensionals if you wanted to. I did do that for the first one, but I'm going to put this on just like that. Just give that a moment. I want to hold on to it. So you can see I still have plenty of stars left over, so you can make this in so many different ways, so many different patterns. I don't think I even added any white ones on, so you could certainly, and you could even save some of these stars for the inside if you wanted to as well. But let me just move a few of these things out of the way, and then I will show you the card that we made versus the original. So again, I did use this very specific paper. This is the paper you'll be getting. That way, if you'd like to make more of these, all you have to do is reorder it, because it will be coming back available for customers on August the 4th. But beautiful paper. This is the plaid paper that was from last year. Really fun way to make these cards. It does have a lot of dimension to it, but it's so pretty. And I think anybody that you gave this card to would absolutely love it. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this card series that I created for June. Thank you so very much for supporting me, and I really appreciate you all. I really miss seeing you guys in person, but I'm hoping this is at least bringing a little bit of my normal craziness that we have at a stamp club party with me being Rachel to you guys at home. Thank you guys so very much. I also thought this was a really fun set to use because we did birthday cards, we did a shaker card, we did a Christmas card, and a 4th of July card, all with one set of dies, which is super fun. The only thing we did was, this one does have a different sentiment, and now that I think about it, my little thing fell off here. That's why he's kind of hanging off there to the side. We did use a little different sentiment for this one, but you could use any Christmas sentiment that you have that will fit in there, and it doesn't even need to be "Oh Christmas Tree." And now, let me show you one other thing. Just goes to show, once again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I kind of try to make the mistakes so you don't have to. The amount of different heights on this is really causing a problem with this sticking. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off, I think that should be short enough, a little piece of the foam adhesive strip. Yep, and I'm going to put this on here because this stuff will stick to pretty much anything. I'm just going to peel the back, and I'm going to re-put this in here. There you go. Beautiful. If you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, opinions, anything whatsoever, I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. You can leave a comment here on YouTube on the video. Remember, this is only available to people who did purchase this kit, so this is an exclusive video that is just for you all. So thank you guys very much for joining me. If you'd like to get any supplies to make additional cards, you can always go to my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I appreciate your support so much, and thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day.